DIYers, today we're back in the studio to demonstrate the application process for our Butcher Block Countertop Paint Kit. So if you're ready to transform the entire look of your kitchen, grab a kit and let's get started. You can expect this project to take you a full weekend. And if you have any questions throughout the process, we're here to help. You can reach us by phone, chat, or email. Before you start your project, watch this entire video and read the included instructions and quick start guide, as they are meant to complement each other. Everything you need to transform your countertops is included in the kit. You will also want these additional household items within reach. It is also important to measure your countertops beforehand to make sure you have enough product for your space. Refer to the included quick start guide for more information. This step is critical for making sure the epoxy top coat cures correctly. To begin your prep, no sanding is required for a typical laminate or Formica countertop. Just thoroughly clean your countertops with an SOS or Brillo pad to remove any dirt and grease from the surface. Then remove the cleaner with water because any remaining residue can keep the paint from adhering. Use a high-quality painter's tape like frog tape to protect surfaces around your workspace from accidental contact with the kit materials. Tape 2 rows on the walls above your backsplash and 1 strip along your sink and cooktop if you have one. Use the included tarps to protect your cabinets, appliances, and floor. Use small pieces of tape to hold the tarps in place and run long pieces of tape along the underside of the countertops. This will help remove any drips before they harden. Then, trim pieces from the provided tarp to use as covers for the sink, faucet, and any appliances above your countertop. Now you're ready to apply your wood-based primer. You will need 1 to 2 coats to cover most surfaces. If you have a connected backsplash, start here. First, edge in the top and bottom with a 2-inch foam brush. Continue around the corners and edges and use the fabric roller to fill in the rest. For the best coverage, edge in 2 to 3 foot sections at a time, then immediately roll that section so your brush strokes blend in. Allow the first coat to dry for at least 1 hour. It may appear streaky or uneven, but you will achieve full coverage with the next step. Repeat the same process in dry time for your second coat of wood-based primer. Countertop has corners. You will apply the stain coat in 2 different sections. One section will form the vertical boards, and the other will form the horizontal boards, making sure that the lines always stay parallel to your backsplash. If you're only painting an island or a single run of countertop, then you'll perform the application in one direction. To create your vertical section, you will apply 2 pieces of tape following your diagonal seam to protect the horizontal section. For these next steps, use your kit's included frog tape to measure out and tape your butcher block boards. Begin by aligning the edge of the tape with the edge of your countertop surface. Then mark lightly with a pencil where the width of the tape roll ends. Place the tape roll against that line and again mark the end of that width. Repeat until you've covered that section. Then follow the same marking process at the opposite end of your counter. It's best to start your first mark at the back of your countertop section and work your way forward. For backsplashes, create your first mark by laying the roll flat on your countertops and then making marks above until you reach the wall. To create the butcher block boards, connect the pencil marks on both ends of your counters with a piece of frog tape. Again, start from the back of your countertop and work your way forward. Be sure to tape every other set of pencil marks. Check to make sure that you don't have any crooked or wrinkled lines, and run your hand over the strips to smooth them out. To create your grain coat mix, pour the entire 8 fluid ounces of wood grain coat into your kit's included mixing cup. Then add 4 fluid ounces of water for a total of 12 ounces. Stir the paint and water together until they are fully mixed. Now we'll show you the first technique for creating your butcher block. This method is simple with fewer steps, and it creates a light wood tone with minimal contrast between boards, giving the surface a clean, even look. Let's get started. First, starting at the boards furthest away from you and working forward, use your wood graining brush to apply a light layer of the wood grain coat on the exposed boards. Work the paint across the entire board length, going back to make multiple light end-to-end brush strokes. Be sure to apply a light, even coat as you will darken the boards and give them dimension in the next steps. For corner layouts, again you must apply the entire graining process on either side of the corner, one at a time, as the adjoining side must be taped off during the application. Once your first layer of wood grain coat has dried for at least 45 minutes, use your utility knife to cut your boards into pieces ranging from 6 inches to 36 inches. Gently peel your new strip of tape off the counters, then place it randomly on the painted boards. Do this one piece at a time in any random pattern you'd like until you're satisfied with the look. Be sure to use your hand to secure the newly placed boards. Once all of your new boards are in place, you're ready to apply the next layer of grain coat. Follow the same steps as the first layer, applying a light layer to all of the boards that are not taped. This means applying over painted boards and freshly exposed primer. Allow this coat to dry for at least 45 minutes. Then remove all of the tape boards. Add a third layer of stain coat over the entire section to create 3 different shades of wood grain coat. If you choose the first method, this is how your countertop should look.
If you prefer higher contrast and richer tones, you will want to follow the second technique, which we will demonstrate now on the horizontal section. To move your corner line, place a piece of tape on the other side of the corner seam and remove the old one. This will allow you to get full coverage on your next section. For this technique, the taping, first stain coat, and board cutting are the same as before. After cutting your boards and applying your desired pattern, it is time to apply the second coat of stain. This step is similar to the first technique, but it's helpful to be intentional by staining one board at a time to achieve sharper lines. Allow this coat to dry for at least 45 minutes. Then, keeping your lines exactly the same, apply another layer of stain coat. Adding a second layer of stain at this stage will help keep your lines sharp and will create more dimension to your application. Once your third layer has dried, remove all of the remaining tape in this section except for the tape line marking the corner. Once the tape is removed, apply a light layer of grain coat to your newly exposed boards. A great feature of this kit is how customizable it is. Once every board is stained, you can go through and make your boards as light or as dark as you'd like. Now you're ready to apply the top coat. Giani Butcher Block comes with 3 sets of epoxy, and each set is made up of 2 parts, a liquid activator and a liquid resin. Each set covers a 6-foot long section of standard countertops, or 12 square feet. To mix your first set, pour an entire can of activator into a can of resin, making sure to empty all of the contents. Next, thoroughly stir the mixture for 3 minutes and 30 seconds, making sure to scrape the sides and bottoms of the can. You will want to mix quickly without splashing any of the contents out of the container. When you have finished stirring, immediately pour the entire mixture onto the first section of your countertop. It helps to pour the mixture in 3 lines to ensure even coverage. Start by pouring 1 stream at the base of your backsplash, 1 in the middle, and 1 stream close to the edge. If you have an object within your 6-foot section, such as a sink, use the proportionate amount for one side of the sink and continue on the opposite side until the entire mixture has been used. Within the same section, use the included 2-inch angled brush and transfer some of the epoxy mixture onto your backsplash. gently coating it as you brush along your 6-foot section. Continue cutting in the edges of your section with some of the remaining mixture on your countertops. Next, use the foam roller to evenly distribute the epoxy over the surface. Since the epoxy is self-leveling, try not to overwork your application. It helps to hold the handle gently to avoid applying too much pressure. Gently push the epoxy over the countertops rather than rolling it on to avoid spreading it too thin. Applying the mixture too thin will result in imperfections in your countertops. To make sure they are fully coated, allow epoxy to run off the edges onto the tarps. Then lightly roll them to avoid drip marks. You want a good layer of epoxy on your edges since they experience the most wear. After you've covered your first section, mix a second set of epoxy and continue on to the next, blending the two sections together to avoid creating a seam. Continue the same process until your entire countertop is coated. Remember, one set of epoxy only covers 12 square feet. Extending it further will result in imperfections. Once you've rolled on your top coat, do not add more unless you find bare spots. Doing so can create unwanted blemishes in the finish. If your remaining section of countertop is less than 6 feet, use the appropriate amount of epoxy to cover the area. For example, if the final section is 3 feet, mix the last full set of epoxy and only use half. Remember to gently guide the epoxy over your surface rather than rolling it on. Keep in mind, if you hear any stickiness when applying the epoxy, it is too thin in that area and will not cure properly. Please read the Epoxy Quick Start Guide for all of our helpful tips and tricks. Once you've finished applying your epoxy, grab a bright light and closely inspect your countertops for bare spots, bubbles, or lint. To fix a small bare spot, use a 2-inch brush and apply a small amount of epoxy onto the spot and dab lightly to blend. For air bubbles or lint, use tweezers to gently pop the bubbles or pull out the piece of lint. Just be sure you don't use the tweezers after an hour. In order to prevent icicles from curing under your counter, use a stir stick to remove drips up to an hour after applying the epoxy. Carefully remove the tape between 1 and 2 hours after applying the epoxy. If you peel it off too early, the finish will run. And if you peel it off too late, the tape will become cemented to your countertops. Wait 24 hours before removing tarps to prevent epoxy from dripping on your floor. After 2 days, you can lightly use your countertops. Avoid setting heavy objects on your counters until they are fully cured. When caring for your new countertops, we recommend using our specially formulated Giani Countertop Cleaner. You can also read the written instructions to see other cleaners that may be used, as harsh chemicals could dull or damage the finish. Just like you would with any countertop, always use a cutting surface when preparing food, and a hot pad or protective barrier when placing hot objects on your counter. Treating your countertops with the proper care will help maintain the shine, durability, and beauty.
We hope you love your new countertops. Don't forget to follow us on social media and check out our website for additional resources. Thanks for watching!